Did you know that a single finger prick can unlock tons of insight into your reproductive health? I'm talking egg count, menopause timing, if your hormone levels indicate conditions like thyroid disorders or PCOS, all things that are good to know whether or not kids are in your future. That's why Modern Fertility was created. It's the easy and affordable way to test your fertility hormones at home with a simple finger prick. Traditional testing with your doctor can cost over $1,000. But what I love most about Modern Fertility, it's only $159 for the same information. Right now, Modern Fertility is offering our listeners $20 off the test when you go to modernfertility.com/ratchet. That means your test will cost $139 instead of the hundreds or thousands it could cost at a doctor's office. Get $20 off your fertility test when you go to modernfertility.com/ratchet. modernfertility.com/ratchet. When your online checking account balance is running low, the last thing you need is a $33 overdraft fee. Overdraft fees have gotten way out of hand. In 2019, traditional banks took $11 billion in overdraft fees. Chime does things differently. Chime is an award-winning app and debit card that has saved its members more than $10 billion in overdraft fees with SpotMe fee-free overdraft. I love Chime's transparency, and I think the SpotMe feature is super helpful. Now you deserve to have financial peace of mind. Join the millions of Americans already loving Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started today at chime.com/ratchet. That's chime.com/ratchet. Banking services provided by and debit card issued by the Bancorp Bank of Stride Bank North America, members FDIC. SpotMe eligibility requirements apply. Overdraft only applies to debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. Limits start at $20 and may be increased up to $200 by Chime. Chime member overdraft fee savings based on eligible members' use of SpotMe versus $33 average overdraft fee. Overdraft fee data based on Bankrate checking account survey and CRL June 2020 overdraft fees report. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable with Demetria L. Lucas. I'm currently in Mexico. It's like 88 degrees outside, a little bit of humidity, more than I'm used to in LA, but nothing like, say, like a New Orleans or Miami. On this balcony, I'm looking out, I can see it's like a forest, I guess. A whole bunch of very, very green, almost looking like Technicolor, wild trees leading to an all-white sandy beach, and then the ocean just before me. If you've been following me on social media, I've been posting a couple pictures from my bed to balcony. I've been sleeping with my curtains wide open. I've also been coming out to the balcony like absolutely butterball naked every evening to drink a glass of tequila. It's my vacation habit. But I have a very beautiful view right now. I wish I could tell you I was sitting on a lounger. I'm actually sitting on the ground because I'm recording from outside and the tables are really low. So trying to sit in my lounger and record was actually not very comfortable. So here I am this week, very happy to be in Mexico, a much needed getaway. I said that to somebody else. She was like, your whole life is a getaway. Like you live in LA and then you go bounce around on these odysseys. You've been doing it all summer. And I was like, yeah, a lot of that wasn't relaxation. The last Mexico trip for my birthday, that was relaxing. But ever since there, there's been a lot of work thrown in the mix. And every single destination that I've traveled to since the very first Odyssey, starting back in July, I've had to work. Not one single place did I not work. If nothing else, I had to do the podcast, which as much as I love it, is very much work. It is a job. My production company does get mad if it's too late. I'm here for my friend's 40th birthday. Jordan. Remember Jordan came on the podcast? She's a celebrity chef. I had her on when I was in Atlanta, and she was giving up her best Atlanta food spots, restaurants. And she talked about some of her stories about working with Puff and the things she learned from him. She's such a fascinating woman. But she has turned 40. Happy birthday, Jordan. Her birthday was on Saturday, and so she asked a bunch of her girlfriends to come down to Mexico and celebrate with her. A lot of the girlfriends right now are continuing the celebration. They're on the rooftop of our hotel at the pool overlooking that amazing view. And I'm down here working. Yeah. But it's okay. I'll knock this out and then I'll go upstairs and edit. And I just came up from a late breakfast, early lunch by the beach. I had my double shot of tequila with my twist of lime. So I'm feeling very loose right now. I still very much feel like I'm on vacation. Don't get too excited though. Tequila doesn't give me the same effect that wine does. Like I can drink wine and not feel drunk, but act drunk. Tequila, I just go to sleep. But what's going on in the world? Wendy Williams, she's not doing so well, apparently. We talked about Wendy last week, and I think a couple weeks before that. And I talked about how Wendy's show had been delayed for its 13th season. And last week, there was much conversation about Nick Cannon replacing her. There was some question as to whether Wendy would ever come back. Earlier today, it was announced that the Wendy Williams show, it is indeed coming back. However, Wendy will not be hosting it, at least for the immediate future. I think they said, let's pull it up. Let's not guess. The Wendy Williams Show, this was posted on the official Instagram page. The Wendy Williams Show will start airing originals on Monday, October 18th, with an exciting lineup of guest hosts and panels to be announced shortly. Wendy continues to be under medical supervision and meets with her medical team on a daily basis. She is making progress, but is experiencing serious complication as a direct result of Graves' disease and her thyroid condition. It has been determined that more time is needed before she is able to return to her live hosting duties. Oh dear. I said it last week and I'll say it again. I wish Wendy Williams the best. I hope that she will be okay. Slow progress is progress nonetheless. I hope she's all right. I keep seeing people say that that Wendy's not coming back for the 13th season. I haven't seen a legitimate website post that yet. But I've seen a lot of people making allusions to it, that she won't be back for this whole season. I don't think that that's the case. I do think she's trying to come back. I just think she's sick. So I hope she does get better. Her production company, Debmar Mercury, they are standing behind her. They said Wendy is a valued and stalwart member of the Debmar Mercury family and has been so for 12 years. We want her health to be her top priority. As soon as she's ready, she will be back in her treasured purple chair. Page 6, who's been very much on top of this story, they said multiple sources have told them that the delay of Williams' show is starting to become a huge problem for station affiliates and advertisers. They said a rep for Williams did not immediately respond to Page 6's request for comment. Damn. Whatever's going on with her, I hope she'll be all right. We have good news this week. It's not necessarily good black news, but it's good news nonetheless, and I'm excited about it. I love me some Adele. And Adele, after 5 years, I was like, whoa, has it been 5 since her last album? It has. Adele is returning with a new album. I think I read that the single drops October 15th, and then the album follows on November 1st. So I'm excited for this October 15th single. That gives us 3 days to prepare ourselves. Adele also has the very, I was going to say good fortune, but I think it's a good pull to be on the cover of American Vogue and British Vogue at the same time. British Vogue released their cover last week, and it was absolutely stunning, which I think like every British Vogue cover is. Like Sir Innofil is doing the Lord's work over there. I love him. I love his vision. But they put Adele on the cover and she looks absolutely amazing. And I wanted to talk about it last week, but I think I was skipping around in the way I was covering stories last week. And I skipped right over my Adele portion. But I guess it all worked out for the best because American Vogue has since released its Adele cover and its own separate cover story, which unfortunately just isn't as stunning as the British one, the cover. And the story is very... yeah. The American version spins, they both discuss Adele's weight and Adele's divorce and Adele's new boyfriend who's black. He's part of the LeBron James management team. He shows up in the British story and she just talks about him in the American story. But the American one, it just spends this overwhelming amount of time discussing her weight to the point that just like as a reader, I was like, this is just a little uncomfortable. Like the American writer goes to the gym with her and she talks about like how fit Adele is and how she's working out on this machine and that machine and she trains with this person. And it's just like, wait. And I was like, you got an opportunity to speak with one of the biggest artists of this generation, like 1 million Grammys, like literally 15. Adele has 15 Grammys, 120 million records sold. She hasn't done an interview in 5 years. And you just want to spend the whole time talking about like her weight and her divorce? The divorce thing I understood a little more so. I mean, even though it's been a while since the divorce, but because Adele hasn't released an album in a great amount of time and a lot of her music is about her personal life, I do get why there might be some extra digging into her relationships because that inspires her music. But I was just like, okay, like people lose weight, people gain weight. It happens. It does. But there's like a good 1,000 words dedicated to it. The first 1,000 at that. Dedicated to it in the American Vogue. And I was just like, that's it. And what also makes it awkward is that Adele clearly is not, I wouldn't say not comfortable, but clearly doesn't really want to talk about her weight. Even she indicates that her weight loss is one of the least interesting things about her. And she says in both articles, some version of, I didn't start working out to lose weight. I have anxiety. Working out made me feel less anxious. She said sometimes she went to the gym twice a day. And she's like, the effect of that was that I lost a lot of weight. But she was like, I don't define myself by my body size. And she was like, and I totally get that at the weight that I previously was as a public woman, as a successful woman, a lot of women felt seen and represented by my presence. But she was like, I appreciate that. And yet and still, I lost weight because she wanted to. One of my really good friends, and she talked about this publicly, so I'll say this, Candace Bimbo. She recently announced that she was going on a sugar detox and that she was also like working out, I think she said to be healthy. And she got a lot of feedback from that announcement, so much so that she felt that she had to address it. And she was explaining to people like why she chose to go on this sugar detox. And she's also on a dating detox. So a sugar detox, a dating detox, and she's working out. And people were like, oh, you know, you should just have more pride in your body and you should this and you should that and you should this, like very visceral reactions to her choice of what to do with her body. And I understand that, yes, like, you know, she made an announcement about it and yes, that invites conversation, but it was just a weird conversation. And so Candace came back because Candace is a much nicer person than I am and was like explaining to people like why she made the choices that she made. And I was like, girl, I texted it to her first. And then like I wrote it on her Facebook page. I was like, if you don't tell them people to kiss your sugar-free, rapidly shrinking ass and go on about their lives, move the fuck around, people are doing the most right now. I fully understand Mercury is in retrograde. Then communication is very fraught at this moment. It has personally affected my life, hence why I'm having conversations with him. And still, y'all gotta like pull the fuck back. I think most people don't understand, and I'm explaining this because I feel like sometimes like if people don't explain it, then people are like, oh, well then everything must be fine because like you didn't say it was a problem. It's one of the reasons that I talk about things like this, right? Most people don't understand what it is to have hundreds of people every day making nitpicky comments about the things that they do. Like if you're flat out wrong, like say a Dave Chappelle, which we'll discuss later in the episode, like, okay, you should reasonably able to anticipate that, right? But like, just sort of, I guess, being like, I don't know, mid-level popular without all the accoutrement of fame. So you just got enough where people are paying attention, but not enough where you can like buy a mansion and hire security and hire a whole team to filter out your social media so you never really have to see the crazy shit people say to you. I don't think most people understand what it's like to have like 100 people like every day saying crazy shit to you and then not having like the payoff reward for the headache that you're getting. And right now it's like worse than usual. Like there's levels to popularity. Like there's a phase where people are like, I'm rooting for you and I'm very happy for you and like, yay, 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 grow, grow, grow. And then like you hit this new phase where like people just get very critical. And I'll be like, God damn. I asked for the grace and patience that I tried to extend to many, but not all others on the podcast, where I'd be like, yo, there's grace for those that seek it. Like give people some grace, some wiggle room, like give them the understanding that you would like for them to give to you. Apparently that's not fathomable for a lot of people. But I say all that to say, Adele saw all of y'all comments about her weight She definitely said in the American version of her articles, I don't know if she said it in the British one, but she was like, I was very hurt by the way that, like, you know, women came for me for losing weight. I was actually about to just say that it's very hard being a non-thin woman in the public space, but I don't know that it's any easier being plus size or quote and unquote considered thin. One of America's favorite pastimes is just to deconstruct women's bodies. Like if you work out all the time, you know, people still point out flaws in your body. If you go get a BBL, people still point out flaws in your body and also quote and unquote your self-esteem. Because if you really loved yourself, would you go get a BBL? That's not me saying it. That's me quoting what people say, just for clarity. And if you're a plus size woman, they critique you for being lazy. They were like, well, why don't you work out? Why don't you lose weight? It's a never ending commentary. But Adele's take on the comments about her body, she says audiences, quote, are used to people documenting everything on Instagram, and most people in my position would get a big deal with a diet brand. I couldn't give a flying fuck. I did it for myself and not anyone else. So why would I ever share it? I don't find it fascinating. It's my body. She said she lost the weight with no intermittent fasting, nothing. She said, if anything, I eat more than I used to because I work out so hard. She also wanted to address the idea that she got a divorce and then she lost weight. And she said people were saying that she went and got a revenge body. She said, oh my God, suck my dick. She says, it's ridiculous. I think it's that people love to portray a divorced woman as spinning out of control. Like, oh, she must be crackers. She must have decided she wants to be a hoe. Because what is a woman without a husband? The writer editorializes, at this, she does the most amazing instinctive hair flick. And then Adele says, it's bullshit. I really like Adele. The new album, which is what I'm really interested in from these articles, is, according to Adele, not about the divorce. Art from both journalists, the British one and the American one, who heard different pieces of the album, they were like, it very much feels like a divorce album. Adele says of her album, I feel like this album is self-destruction, then self-reflection, and then sort of self-redemption. That's how she described it when she was speaking to British Vogue. She said she recorded a lot of the album for her son. She said, quote, he had a lot of questions, really good questions, really innocent questions that I just don't have the answer for. Like, why can't you and dad still live together? She said, I just felt like I wanted to explain it to him through this record when he's in his 20s or 30s, who I am and why I voluntarily chose to dismantle his entire life in the pursuit of my own happiness. It made him really unhappy sometimes, and that's a real wound for me that I don't know if I'll be able to heal. She also says about this divorce, and I think it's worth mentioning because it plays into like what came out on the album. She says, I realized that I was the problem. She says, because all the other albums are like, you did this, you did that, fuck you. Why can't you arrive for me? Then I was like, oh shit, I'm the running theme, actually. Maybe it's me. The writer for the American version describes her album as a sexy 70s groove, heavy strings, heavier lyrics. She says it immediately calls to mind Marvin Gaye, and Adele backs that up. She says What's Going On was a very big reference on the album. That's Adele. Sis, I know you got the vocal range, but comparing to What's Going On, one of the greatest albums ever made, that's big shoes to fill, sis. Ally sis, white British sis. That's a lot. She also says that she didn't include a song, and this actually kind of made me feel bad. She said she takes measures. This is from the American version. She still takes measures to avoid ramping up her fame. She avoided writing a certain kind of song for the next album, for instance. There isn't a bombastic hello. Adele says, I don't want another song like that. That song catapulted me in fame to another level that I don't want to happen again. And she actually does say that, like, yeah, okay, like, yes, I'm playing small. I mean, and I kind of get it. Isn't that about what Lauryn Hill said at one point? She's like, the miseducation of Lauryn Hill blew up so fast and she was just overwhelmed by it. I remember reading this article where she talked about, and this was like years and years and years ago. I think it might have been like the Trace article where she first started saying she wanted to be called Miss Hill. If you can Google that article, it's probably like, I don't know, 18, 19 years old at this point, but it's a really, really good read. But she was like, I've spent my whole life trying to be different and create like a new sound and create like a new look and be like this individual person. And she was like, and then I'd go to my concerts and like I'd be looking out at thousands of people who were dressed like me. I'm raising my hand. You can't see me. I'm raising my hand because I was one of those people, like hair weaves by Europeans, nails done by Koreans. I popped my acrylics off, maybe, I don't know, like the week I heard that album. I ain't worn them since. But the denim A-line skirts with the rips in them and the hair wraps, the washed out graphic tees, like that was my look for years. I was one of the women at the concerts dressed like her because I was amazingly inspired by Lauryn Hill from the Fugees, but also like her album. But she was just like I felt like I couldn't be me anymore. And every new version of me that I tried to transform into, like people would come and just become me. And she was like, that shit was weird. And I was like, girl, yeah, I get it. Somebody else has this story. It's Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston said the same thing when she was like, the bodyguard got so big. I want to say it was a combination of the Star Spangled Banner and I Will Always Love You, which became like a #1 hit in like every like big country. But that level of fame was so crazy to her that she just like lost it. She was a casual drug user before that. And then she hit this next level of fame and she was like, I just couldn't handle it. Maybe good for Adele that she's like recognizing other people who have been at that level of fame and been like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. And so she's protecting herself. One thing that came out in both versions of this article is Adele is like very reclusive. Like I realized we hadn't heard from her in a very long time, definitely not 5 years, because I still play that last album. Like I've worn that album out. I didn't realize how intentional of a recluse that she is. Like she's going through the back doors of restaurants, booking out museums so that only she can be there. And she has the money to do it. God bless her. But she's going out of her way to physically avoid the public because she really does not like being famous. I think it's in the American version that she talks about how like she emailed her manager once early in her career and was like, I don't want to do this. Like I love singing, but like at this level with this fame, I don't want to do this. Which thankfully he talked her into. I mean, thankfully for us, the fans, but like, I don't know if that's a thankfully for Adele because she really doesn't seem to like it. And look, if Adele just wants to release albums and like never go on tour, I'm fine with that. My stance on Adele is like, as long as you're putting out good music, I don't care. I don't care what your size looks like. This is a big Luther, skinny Luther conversation. Like, can Luther sing? Then I don't care what size Luther is. Like, she's a talent. It's not about, she's not selling image in the way that some other very, very, very big celebrities are. You don't want to be bothered? You don't want to come outside? Don't come outside. If you could kindly drop us an album every 3 years, 5 if that's what it takes, because you give us good music that will hold us over. You drop classics. If you don't want to tour, don't tour. You don't want to do magazines, don't do them. I'm fine. We could really just follow you on Instagram and you let us know that an album is coming and we're good with that. What's her? I was reading something about her the other day. Has she shown her face yet in full? I think I could pick her out in glasses with the big hair and be like, isn't that? But she take the hair and the glasses off. I can't pick her out of a lineup. If Adele ain't comfortable being famous, baby, don't be famous no more. Because really with the new look, you could walk outside. I wouldn't know you. Dye your hair red and put on some glasses. I wouldn't know you just walking around, Adele. Live your best life, sis. Just drop us an album every 3 to 5 years. That's all I ask. Whether it's taking a walk around your neighborhood, running errands, or venturing out on your own, you always want to feel safe. With Birdie, you can keep doing what you love with added peace of mind. Birdie is a personal safety alarm designed to be easy to carry and simple to use. When you activate your Birdie with a quick pull, the alarm will emit a loud 130 decibel siren and flashing strobe light to help deter an attack. Now, fortunately, I've never had to use Birdie in an attack, but I have tested it out at home. That thing is loud. Unlike pepper spray and other deterrents, Birdie is no danger to you. Feel confident to use it without the worry. And Birdie goes wherever you do. The alarm comes in multiple colors and has a brass keychain so you can attach it to your keys or bag. Over 300,000 Birdie alarms have been sold, and they have thousands of 5-star reviews. Join the flock today for a safer tomorrow. Right now, She's Birdie is offering our listeners 15% off your first purchase when you go to shesbirdie.com/ratchet. Go to She's Birdie, spelled SHESBIRDIE.com/ratchet for 15% off your first purchase. That's shesbirdie.com/ratchet. Making content is an essential part of what I do to keep this show going, but it hasn't always been a seamless creative process. I'm very good at speaking, I'm very good at writing, not so much on designing. But ever since I found Canva Pro, I can design anything like a pro on any device. Canva Pro is a design platform that empowers you to create and share stunning content in just a few clicks. Designing with Canva Pro is amazingly fast and fun. Choose from thousands of templates that are easy to customize or start from scratch. Canva Pro has endless premium fonts, photos, videos, and so much more that add personality and edge to whatever you're designing, like electronic press kits to send out to sponsors. Designing together has never been easier, sharing, editing, and commenting in real time. Canva Pro helps you stay organized, on the same page, and on top of team projects. So no more misplaced files or tedious back and forth. Plus, you and 4 teammates can unlock everything Canva Pro has to offer for just $12.99 a month. With Canva Pro's content planner, you'll save time planning, creating, and posting social media content too. Pause scheduled posts and edit them at any time. My favorite Canva Pro feature is the storage. I love that I never have to go searching for a file. Design like a pro with Canva Pro. Right now, you can get a free 45-day extended trial when you use my promo code. Just go to canva.me/ratchet to get your free 45-day extended trial. That's canva.me/ratchet. Canva.me/ratchet. Sorry, y'all. I just got an email. I'm approving the merch. They're sending me pictures of the samples before they do the mass printing of them. So we're good to go on the white and gold. Whew. What else is going on? Oh, the Harveys. I probably should have started with the good black news with the Harveys. Marjorie Harvey just had her 57th birthday. She, as per usual, looks like a bag of money. A big bag, too. Like, she looks amazing. She's been gallivanting in Paris for Fashion Week, and she was serving looks. So her current mood is like all black with like pops of neon. I call it podcast green. The exact shade of my podcast logo is like a huge color right now. It's like everywhere. Marjorie's been doing lots of black and podcast green, and then also lemon, bursts of lemon. But she's been over there gallivanting and taking her pictures. There was one, she was coming out of this library with like sliding glass doors, and she had on these, I want to say printed stockings and like some shorts, all black, ponytails swinging. She looks fabulous, fabulous. Everybody's been looking at Lori, and Marjorie came through like, baby, that's the sequel. Let me remind you of the original. She looked so good. But Steve came over, and the video that's been circulating everywhere, they're dancing. Is it Earth, Wind, and Fire? OJ's? I don't know. Some old school song my daddy would recognize the first note he heard. But Steve and Marjorie are dancing on this rooftop, and the Eiffel Tower is in the background. And she's got on these lemon shoes. But they're dancing. She's letting him lead. And he leads her into a 5-part dip. And she's just all over him, just like rubbing him and loving him. And I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Big Daddy must still got it, because she was rubbing on him. And I was like, ma'am, I know what that rub is. Steve provided good times upon his arrival in Paris. I don't know if that's Uncle being Uncle. Uncle got into the Viagra. I don't know. But you could tell that they are enjoying one another in Paris. Good for them. I hope they're having nasty, filthy, wonderful, disgusting, can't tell nobody about it, but laugh in the morning sex. I wish that for them. I want that for them. I want that for everyone. She knew Steve was coming, but Steve showed up in all white. And the cameras were following Steve, like, you know, walking in the hotel, walking down the hallway, trying to get to the Marge. And he had a little small bag in his hand. I was like, that looked like some jewelry. Steve don't show up to Marjorie empty-handed. Then he walked in the room, and Marjorie, she didn't jump on him and wrap her legs around him. Remember he surprised her at the ski resort, and she damn near pushed the lady at the table out the way to hop on Steve and then wouldn't get down. He had to pat her ass like 3 times. I don't think he wanted to get down. I think he just wanted to pat her ass. But it was a good 3 pats. 3 separate pats before Marjorie unlocked her legs around him and put her feet back on the floor. And this is with the cameras rolling and people standing around. So you can only imagine what these people are doing when ain't nobody looking. As they should. They are very grown. But this time, she just flung herself onto him with her arms locked around him, jumping on him. Not up on him, but just jumping against him, basically rubbing her boobs up and down on him. And I was like, these two, they walking around Paris, not in matching outfits, but Steve had on this all green moment, looking like a superhero. There was another time Marjorie had on all black. I want to say with the lemon boots and then like lemon sunglasses. And I was like, look, if you and your lover, your partner, if y'all can't dress up like some goddamn superheroes and do a little dance to the oldies and walk around smooching on each other, is it really love? Are you really in it like you think you are? I don't know if it's real. I ain't saying you got to do it. I'm saying you got to be able to do it. Y'all might express yourselves in a different way, but if it ain't equivalent to that, is it real? The Marge, the Steve. Somebody said the other day, I guess I was talking about it on Facebook, and this woman was like, I feel so bad for Steve's ex-wife because she was there with him from the beginning. And I was like, yo, people, Marjorie and Steve been married for like, 10 years? Minimum. Maybe more like 12. But it's a minimum 10 years. At some point, you got to let people move on. I understand. He was married twice before. I believe she was too. If not married, then 2 long-term partnerships, or maybe a marriage and a long-term partnership. But folks is in their 50s and 60s and been married for 10 years. Like, you got to move on. You got to let it go. You just got to let it go. I'm just saying. When your online checking account balance is running low, the last thing you need is a $33 overdraft fee. Overdraft fees have gotten way out of hand. In 2019, traditional banks took $11 billion in overdraft fees. Chime does things differently. Chime is an award-winning app and debit card that has saved its members more than $10 billion in overdraft fees with SpotMe fee-free overdraft. Eligible members can overdraft up to $200 on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals with absolutely no fees. I love Chime's transparency, and I think the SpotMe feature is super helpful. Now you deserve to have financial peace of mind. Join the millions of Americans already loving Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started today at chime.com/ratchet. That's chime.com/ratchet. Banking services provided by and debit card issued by the Bancorp Bank of Stride Bank North America, members FDIC. SpotMe eligibility requirements apply. Overdraft only applies to debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. Limits start at $20 and may be increased up to $200 by Chime. Chime member overdraft fee savings based on eligible members' use of SpotMe versus $33 average overdraft fee. Overdraft fee data based on Bankrate checking account survey and CRL June 2020 overdraft fees report. Did you know that a single finger prick can unlock tons of insight into your reproductive health? I'm talking egg count, menopause timing, if your hormone levels indicate conditions like thyroid disorders or PCOS, all things that are good to know whether or not kids are in your future. That's why Modern Fertility was created. It's the easy and affordable way to test your fertility hormones at home with a simple finger prick. Mail it in with a prepaid label and you'll get your personalized results within 10 days. Traditional testing with your doctor can cost over $1,000. But what I love most about Modern Fertility, it's only $159 for the same information. And if you go to modernfertility.com/ratchet, you can get $20 off your test. You'll get insight into how many eggs you have, hormone levels, and other important fertility factors. The results go deep into what every hormone means, and you can also talk one-on-one with a fertility nurse to review your results and options for next steps. If you want kids today or maybe one day in the future, you need information to make the decision that's best for you. Right now, Modern Fertility is offering our listeners $20 off the test when you go to modernfertility.com/ratchet. That means your test will cost $139 instead of the hundreds or thousands it could cost at a doctor's office. Get $20 off your fertility test when you go to modernfertility.com/ratchet. modernfertility.com/ratchet. There's so much more to nutrition than calories. Your diet plays a huge role in your microbiome, which in turn impacts your mental and physical well-being. The science is clear. A healthy gut microbiome with the good bacteria that help our bodies process food is key to a healthy lifestyle. But now we're learning about the connection between your gut microbiome health and type 2 diabetes. Pendulum Glucose Control is the first and only medical probiotic that's designed to manage A1C and blood glucose levels through the health of your microbiome. Pendulum Glucose Control can help you manage your diabetes naturally. Over time, people with type 2 diabetes lose the gut bacteria that helps digest fiber and manage our blood glucose levels. For those with type 2 diabetes, diet and exercise alone are often not enough to manage it. The best approach emphasizes diet, exercise, and a healthy gut microbiome. This connection has been widely recognized by leading scientists studying diabetes, including the American Diabetes Association, the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, and more. For those with type 2 diabetes, it can feel like an uphill battle to keep glucose and A1C levels where you need them. With Pendulum, you can feel in control of your levels, not the other way around. Pendulum Glucose Control helps fill in the gaps by providing the first and only probiotic designed to manage blood glucose and A1C levels. You can feel in control of your levels, not the other way around. I love how Pendulum Glucose Control helps those with diabetes to manage it naturally. Take control of your glucose levels today. Try Pendulum Glucose Control for 90 days. If you're not satisfied with your levels, you'll get your money back. Visit pendulumlife.com to find out more and use promo code RATCHET for 20% off your first bottle or membership. That's pendulumlife.com. Promo code RATCHET. Oh, Kim K. There's a lot of white conversation this week, but I think it's worthy. I don't really pay that much attention to Kim Kardashian unless she's doing something like, exceptionally rude or wild. I talk more about Kanye than I do about her. But she hosted Saturday Night Live, which I knew nothing about because I don't really watch Saturday Night Live like that unless it's like, somebody major black performing or hosting. But I heard nothing about it. I didn't hear about Saturday Night Live until sometime Monday morning. And one of my friends, who also doesn't speak much about Kim Kardashian, was like, oh my God, Kim was actually really good on Saturday Night Live. And I was like, really, was she? I still had no intentions to look. And then I saw a couple other people posting on Facebook. And like my rules, like my Facebook people are very, very grown. And they don't talk about much of anything unless they like really, really enjoy it or really, really hate it. So I saw a couple other people talking about Kim K. And I was like, well, let me go see. Because I feel like maybe y'all doing the most. Because it couldn't have been that good. So I watched the opening monologue and I was like, Kim was very self-depreciating. She said all the things about herself and her family and her mother and her husband, her soon-to-be ex-husband, that we all have been thinking about. She talked about the divorce. She talked about a lot of shit. And I was like, okay, Kim. She didn't write her monologue, but she delivered it nicely enough. And she looked very fabulous. She had on this pink onesie, like a spandex onesie. Her face was uncovered, which thanks, because that was a little weird. But she looked cute. And I saw a couple of her skits. There was one about like moms going to the club and how like their feet hurt and they keep falling asleep. And I was like, okay, so I'm not a mom, but going to the club, my feet hurt and I fall asleep. Like the idea, somebody the other day was like, let's go to the club. And I was like, for what? Like, why? Why would I do that to myself? Por qué? Lori Harvey, why? And there was another one. She was like making fun of her sister. It was like Courtney's like Judge Courtney something or whatever. And she was like making fun of the way her sister speaks in like that monotone voice. Like it was actually really good. I was like shocking because I didn't expect it to be. What else do I have on this list? I have Dave Chappelle on this list. His new special on Netflix, The Closer. I briefly mentioned it on a previous episode. I didn't comment on The Closer because I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. And I wondered if it was similar to the material that I had seen when I saw him at MGM in Vegas over the 4th of July weekend. And I have since had a chance to watch The Closer, and it is the same material, mostly, I saw over the summer. And when I saw it over the summer, I don't remember if I kept this in last episode. I said it, but I may have cut it out. But I was like, when I saw it at MGM, I cringed. And the guy next to me was also cringing and leaning into me. It's a white dude. He had on a mask, I had on a mask. And I couldn't really be that mad at him because I understood why he was cringing. And throughout the performance, I kept saying, Dave, oh, Dave. Because he was doing a lot. Like, he spent the majority of the set, as he does in the Netflix special, talking about trans people. And at one point in the special, and then also at the show that I was at, he said, my issue isn't, LGBTQ plus, QIA plus, the alphabet, as he likes to call the community. He says his real issue is white people. And yet, he spends the majority of his special talking about, again, the LGBTQIA plus community. Dave is dead ass wrong here. And I've been following the debates that people are having online. I'm looking at people talk about like free speech and comedy and people are too sensitive. And I want to say this. Many things can be true at the same time. You can love Dave Chappelle. You can think the majority of his work is funny. You can think that his takes on race are funny. You can think that the Chappelle Show is one of the best sketch comedies of all time, which I personally do. I think it is a classic. I quote it in some form or fashion almost as much as I quote The Wire. I really, really, really like overall Dave Chappelle, both as a comedian and as a person. I've also had the privilege of partying with him on a couple occasions. I think that he's just all around a great fucking amazing person. He has some blind spots. One of them is about women in general. Another one is with trans women specifically. And I think you can acknowledge that you like someone, that you like their work, and also point out, hey, I don't like every single thing. Also, because Dave Chappelle is a successful black man, a black man that says the shit that most people won't, especially when it comes to race. His overall image is that of an underdog because of the way that he walked away from Comedy Central all those years ago. On the GP of it all, he walked away from 50 million, and then he's got his redemption by showing up all these years later and still being very successful, if not even more so, and getting this $60 million deal with Netflix and having power in the industry, so much so that he can call on Netflix and HBO to be like, hey, y'all are running my content according to the legal confines, but what you're doing might be legal, but it's not right, and I don't like it, and I want you not to. And they back down. There's power in that. I think black people very much so are attracted to that. I think they admire that Dave Chappelle, another black person, has that. I get it. And you can get all that and still say he's wrong. You can also say he's wrong here and not want him to be canceled. And not just his show, because some people called for that too, which I completely understood. The head of Netflix came out and was like, nah, B, we not pulling Dave Chappelle. Just let that ride. They made too much money off Dave Chappelle. As the Netflix guy said, I don't have the quote in front of me that he made, but he said he pointed out that Dave Chappelle's last special was the most highly watched comedy special on Netflix, like of all time. So no, they're not pulling Dave Chappelle. They're going to get that money. They spent $60 million on that man. They're going to recoup all that money. Dave Chappelle personally does not have to be canceled over this. Although we've canceled black women for less. See Chrisette Michelle. I get it. But he's wrong. Overall, what's the right word I want to use? Disappointed, I think, in black people for this one, because we are a community that is used to being disrespected in the mainstream in some form or fashion. And very, very often, whenever black people, something harmful is done to us or said about us, when black people stand up as a collective and be like, this is some bullshit. This is racist. This is wrong. There inevitably are a bunch of white folks who come and say, The same thing that we as a community right now are saying to the trans members of our community and trans people, LGBTQIA people plus overall, we're saying you're being too sensitive. You're taking it out of context. You're doing the most right now. Free speech, entertainment, it's just comedy. But if somebody made jokes about black people the way Dave Chappelle is making jokes about trans people, we would get it. But because so many black people don't, frankly, like, much less identify with the trans, or want to identify, that's probably better, with the trans community, we're acting like white folks right now. People get so mad when I say that shit. So mad. Be mad. It's the truth. In the same way that another community, white folks, don't get to tell black people when we can be mad and what we should be mad about and how we are to interpret the things that may be said or done that we find offensive, that maybe they don't. They don't get to dictate what the offense is. The community that's being spoken of, especially the community that's being harmed, gets to dictate whether it's wrong, whether it's offensive, whether it's hurtful. Not a bunch of other people. And I feel like black folks, right now, that's what we're doing. Because up and down my timeline, especially with black men, but a lot of black women too, which I'm like, yo, black women especially, how do you not get it? We sit on the internet all day long and we listen to black men tell us that, like, you should be happy that somebody's catcalling you in the street and that you get attention. Why? You shouldn't be offended by it. A man just can't say hi to you. You should be happy that a man told you to smile. Why are you offended? We listen to men all day tell us, like, what we should think and what we should feel. And now women, cishet women to be specific, are doing that to trans women specifically, but also the larger LGBTQIA plus community. You know what it feels like when this happens to us. Black men, you know what this feels like when it happens to the black community. And now you're turning around doing the same shit to another community, dictating to them how they should feel and what they should be offended by. And you're hiding behind free speech to do it. You can acknowledge that free speech, which again, because a lot of people don't understand what free speech means, which I'm just like, did we not all have civics? Free speech in the United States of America protects you from persecution from the government. It does not protect you from consequences from anybody else for the crazy shit you decided to say. It doesn't. One more thing about this Dave Chappelle situation, and I'm going to let it go. I swear I'm going to let it go. In defense of Dave Chappelle, people keep referring to him talking about his one trans friend who defended him the last time he was in trouble for saying crazy shit about trans people. And they were like, well, how can Dave be transphobic? Because he has a trans friend. And I was like, are we really this stupid right now? Because anytime a white person gets into some crazy race trouble and says, I have a black best friend, my neighbor's black, my granddaughter's black, my son-in-law's black, like everybody says, no, you can't come out with the black best friend excuse. You can be a racist and have a black best friend. Somehow, this doesn't apply the same way for the trans community. People keep saying, well, Dave said his best friend was trans. His close friend was trans. So how can he be transphobic? Yeah, because your trans friend is the trans version of like Herman Cain or Ben Carson. That makes it okay? No. A trans person who a bunch of trans people, by Dave's own acknowledgement, he was like, my trans friend committed suicide because they were bullied by other people on the internet for supporting me. Your trans friend who trans people are like, get the fuck out of here about, cannot be used as a valid defense of how you can't be transphobic because your friend is trans. Like, what? Dave is way smarter than this. And it's really disappointing that he can be so intelligent and right on the nose about a vast array of other topics, and he can be so blind here. And one of the reasons I don't want him to be canceled, that I'm not calling for him to be canceled, is because I genuinely don't think it's intentional. I don't think he's just doing it for publicity or attention. I think he genuinely thinks that he has some unique, smart take here. That he really thinks that, like, referring to a trans woman as like, what is it called? Impossible pussy or plant-based pussy. Like, he really thinks that that's like, smart. It's not. Look up the numbers of trans women being killed. And one of the reasons that they are being killed is such because people are like, well, you're not a real woman. The crazy shit that Dave is saying in this special contributes to the violence against trans people. And that's why so many people are mad. Okay, you know how we talk about stuff being a part of rape culture? Like it might not be rape, but the idea that you're teaching women that they have to tolerate sexual harassment on the street, or that they should not dress a certain way so as to entice men, or they should submit and defer to men. You're giving men this like ultimate power. Like all of that contributes to rape culture. In the same way that Dave Chappelle is not telling people to go out and commit violence against trans women, the way that he is talking about trans women as not real women, it's contributing to the violence against them. That's the fucking issue. I don't think Dave should be canceled. I do think his show should be pulled from Netflix. Putting this type of harmful, hurtful commentary that is contributing to the culture of violence against trans women being allowed on a global platform should not be allowed or tolerated. And yet it is. And yet it is. Netflix refusing to pull this special is also contributing to the violence against trans women. I know it's making you a lot of money. I know Dave is one of your faves. You might be in another round of project negotiations right now. You don't want to upset him. You want things to go well. You have to pay him more than $60 million this time. You need to take that L. Because y'all are focused on the bottom line, whereas trans women are just trying not to get killed. I need Dave to do better. I need Netflix to do better. So that's the episode for today, y'all. I'm about to wrap this, edit this, get back to the print shop that is sending me all of these samples. They real cute. I'll be able to announce a date for the merch sooner than later, and then go on the roof and drink more tequila with my friends. All right, I'm out. I'll talk to y'all on Friday. Bye.